What's up guys, Rakowski here. Welcome back to another speed build video. Today we're doing a Victorian mansion in The Sims 3. I say mansion, it's still a big house, but it's not like 17 bathrooms that I would normally do for a mansion. We are doing The Sims 3 after all, and everything here takes like 10 times longer than in The Sims 4. So we just did a nice, simple 4-story house. Nothing complicated, nothing crazy. Actually, the shell was a little bit tricky. I'm a little bit rusty, I think, with doing these. I used to do these all the time when I used to build in The Sims 4, but lately I've just been playing the older games and my builds have been like very small and simple and functional. So to actually go all out and try to decorate something was a little bit of a challenge. I may be a little bit nicer in my next build judging episode because now I feel the pain of building in The Sims 3. I guess I forgot. I used to build in The Sims 3, but I never would be able to build something like this back then. Oh my goodness, never. But I think the longest thing is that you have to constantly go back into create a style and keep things matching and keep your color scheme going. Speaking of color scheme, my color scheme is a little crazy for this one. So you know how I'm always screaming about like, oh, what an ugly bathroom, ugly this. If you don't like fuchsia and teal, then you're gonna hate this house because I use those colors everywhere. But those are colors that I enjoy. And when I was building this, even from the start, my intention was to keep it like similar to how we would see it in the base game or in like a purchased world or something. So I wanted to keep that EA style. So as you can see, I kept the roofs maybe a little steeper than I normally would, but Victorian houses have that. I actually have done a lot of research on Victorian houses in the past, so I know a lot about like historical accuracies, things that they would have had, things that they wouldn't have, and I'll go through some of those things as we go through the build as well, because I find that that actually helps me just make decisions, because plastic didn't exist back then, guess I can't use this, you know. That was also a big problem with the creative style because I had to keep changing things back to woods and like metals, you know, materials that they would have had access to in 1890-ish. I love these bay windows. I don't know where they came from, but as soon as I saw those, I thought, perfect. That's gonna add a little bit of three-dimensional space to the flat parts of the house. So like that side there is just like a flat wall. It's too much, so I needed just like a little something. I was playing around with fences and stuff around windows at one point too, but then it just looked like a bunch of little balconies. And this house isn't really big enough to decorate too many details on the outside because it's just gonna get too loud and busy. Actually, it gets loud and busy anyway because I built it, so of course I'm gonna have to throw a big thing of color at it. The roof is I could not find a roof texture that I liked, and that was the most frustrating thing because you can go into create a style and change everything except the roof. So I had to use this. I do not use this orange roof, by the way. I use like a blackish kind of roof. I change it like several times throughout the whole build. I just couldn't find something that was just perfect. I think in the future the best thing to do would be pick my roof first and then decide on my color scheme to go with the roof. But in the end, I think it looks pretty good, so I wasn't too disappointed. It was just a little bit frustrating. But I did put too many windows on it, I would say. Like, I like the colors I chose, and I know they're a little bit noisy for some people, but I did put a little too many windows. And that's just kind of in the spirit of EA, you know? I just felt like doing something that you might mistake for one of their houses, but if it was done well. You know what I mean? Speaking of like doing them well, so I cut out a lot of these things that all the little details that I've been trying to add in to like give it that little extra touch. So most of the parts where I cut, it just means I'm in create a style for like 30 minutes trying to get the perfect fence color to match with the windows or something. So, but once I had all the colors sorted out, things started to speed up a bit because when you pick those, then you can just copy the hex code and you can just kind of play with the color wheel if you want to do it lighter or darker or something. So I was getting better at it, but it really does lag. You know, that's kind of the struggle with the Sims 3 building is not the game itself, it's just the creative style causes the lag. I think I might do like a build challenge where I just build a house but I'm not allowed to use the color wheel. That would be interesting because with the Sims 3 you do have all the freedom with the color, but the default colors are just ugly. Like the woods are gross, like, or it's bright red something, like it just doesn't work for me usually. So the first thing I'm doing is popping into the color wheel, so I spend the whole time dealing with the lag. So now it looks like we're moving inside. So for the wooden floor on the porch, it does have that element of like fuchsia, magenta, and teal, but I changed it to like a cherry wood on the inside, and this was all like an accident. So a lot of Victorian houses, historically, they'll have different wood in each room, like the cherry oak room, or sorry, I should say the cherry wood room and the oak room and etc., etc. I don't know many kinds of wood, sorry. But for this house, I kept it to just a couple, and there's a lot of this red wood kind of throughout the first floor and half of the second floor, and then it changes to something else. So I didn't keep this house like historically accurate, so to speak. I did keep like a floor plan that you would see in a Victorian house or something similar. And I did keep a lot of elements, like I used a lot of kerosene lamps and a lot of candles instead of just lights, but I did use electricity. That was from the Edwardian period, like 10 years later. It was super deadly and dangerous, actually still is, but I didn't want to make it historically accurate, because in The Sims 4 I would do something like that, but there's so many off the grid things, like there's off the grid plumbing, off the grid sinks, and like off the grid laundry, and just things that make a little bit more sense for that kind of house. In The Sims 3, especially base game, like once you have expansion packs, you have more to do. But this is just the base game. So I just kept it like a functional, normal house. If I had to use like a telephone, for example, I would use the old style telephone. But this floor plan took me kind of forever, as we can see. I am just trying to figure out something that makes sense. So the first floor, the kitchen has to be at the back and the lounge has to be at the front, and there has to be a front hall with the grand staircase. So I figured that out. That was fine, and a dining room. And I even fit in a little hallway. I don't always do hallways properly, so that was kind of exciting. But the problem was the bedrooms, because there's 2 more floors that are like proper livable space. And I wanted one floor to be the master bedroom, and I think that's what I'm trying to figure out here. And you also need a fainting room at the top of the stairs to the second floor, a fainting room. And we'll get into what that is a little bit later when we have to decorate it. But yeah, so there's like a few boxes I'm trying to check in my brain as I'm building this, just to keep it authentic enough for my taste. Now the attic, I actually made an attic for this. So the 4th floor is basically an attic. I left it unfurnished. I was gonna put a butler's kind of suite up there, but I decided not to, and so that way there's like a 4th floor, and if stuff has to go up there, then there's room for it. Same with the bedrooms are not super personality specific. I kept it very vague. I imagine this as an unoccupied house, you know? Sometimes, like, actually I should say it's either one or the other. I either build a house specifically for a sim, like this condo is for Don Lothario, and that's it. So that way everything I pick is just with that in mind. But with other houses, like especially mansions, I usually like to keep it just very boring, basic people. They can read books, they can play chess, they can paint, and they can go to bed and eat and go to the bathroom, and that's it. But I always like to leave like not empty spaces, but space in case you want to add something, or space where you could just delete like a couch and a table, and then you have a completely separate area to add in a skill building item or something for your career or whatever. So I didn't do like the pink and teal on the inside necessarily, but I kept it like the pink was in the cherry wood. So I did that with like, and I was trying to do this green wallpaper. As you can see, I changed this up so many times just to try and get this in a way that I like it. Once I have some colors I like, then I just copy and borrow from the other rooms, and I just kind of change things a bit as I go if I want to. But as you can see here, I just put like the same wood for every floor and like every wall, just to kind of get started, give me like a starting base. I had to put so many lights in here. I hope we start doing that soon. Oh, we do. It's kind of happening right now. So yeah, I had to put wall lamps everywhere because I don't like just using plain regular lights. Like I said, I think it's more dynamic when shadows are hitting things differently. There's different sources of light. So, and especially in The Sims 3, it just kind of hits nicely and it works really well. But I used a few chandeliers and stuff for the larger rooms and the main rooms, like the lounge, the bedroom, things like that. But for the most part, yeah, it's just candles and these like wall sconces. They're kerosene lamps. And a lot of the items I used in this are like, because this one, for example, was the Victorian kerosene lamp. And a lot of my things are Victorian. I love Victorian houses, right? They're probably my favorite style of house. So my Sims 3 store content, anything that says Victorian from there, that's the stuff I bought, and I bought nothing else. So I actually had like a few more things to work with. So if you're looking at building a Victorian house, like you may not have necessarily every single thing that I used in this pack, but I think the base game has enough stuff that like it's interchangeable. I just got excited because I saw the word Victorian, but I saw other candles, I saw other lamps and stuff that weren't necessarily electric. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do after I did the lights, so I kind of did the lights outside. And that seems to be one of my styles, I think. I'm usually doing everything at once. So like, if you think back to even this video, I did the whole shell first, right? Then I did the roof. Then I did all the wallpaper on the outside. Then I did all the windows. Then I did all the fencing. And like, you know, I just do one thing at a time. And I will jump back to correct something. Like if I need a window in a different place when I'm building like or furnishing a room, then I'll go back to the outside and see if I have another feasible option. Like, is moving this window gonna ruin everything for me? Or can I just like, you know, switch it up and it won't make any difference? And with this, I really wanted it to look nice from all four sides. I don't always do that. I think that's unrealistic. Most houses from the sides are like no windows or like ugly, weird windows, right? But this, I wanted it to be an experience, like a 360 degree, because I think the beauty about a Victorian house is using balance. It's not a symmetrical style, but if you balance it, like this part's higher than this part, but this side's wider than this part, it just works out nicely. And that's really what I was going for. So we're finally furnishing this nonsense. Oh my God, this thing took me forever. I cut out so many things too. I can't believe it. But yeah, so for the furnishing, the same deal. I used a lot of the Sims 3 store stuff that says Victorian something, but that's what the Sims base games are always like. So Sims 3 and 4, the base game is like old school Victorian furniture anyway. So you shouldn't have any problem finding like wooden end tables and stuff. It was actually kind of nice to like avoid all the modern stuff, because with The Sims 3 I usually do build something more modern because it does have less detail and I don't have to and I can just pick white and go with white and not have to worry about too much creative style. So this was a little bit of a nice change. I like the red inside. I went with that red kind of terracotta tile for the hallway and for the kitchen and one of the bathrooms. The kitchen, so I don't know, so the worst part about this was I ended up having to put the kitchen in like the tower room with the octagon with all the windows there. So I didn't really know what to do there. Usually that's like a bathroom or like a viewing area or something in a house, right? But I kind of ended up making it like this backdoor servant's entranceway. So that way they don't have to use the same door as the family at the front, whatever. You know, the rich people can't be seen with the poor these days, heaven forbid. Anyway, this stove was like the Edwardian stove or something, and it doesn't look very like historic. They have a dishwasher too. I used that looked historic, but the stove that I'm using here, I thought it looked like 50s or something, but I ended up using it because it said Edwardian, and I'm like, this is the closest we're gonna get to a Victorian oven. They didn't even have ovens, it was all wood fire, right? I actually included a wood fire oven later because I found it. I bought Monte Vista, the Sims 3 world, and that comes with a wood oven, so I threw that in at the end. The bathrooms, most of them I kept separate, like bath and sink and toilet separate, because it would be normal to have like a bathroom or like a washroom where all like the washing is done, and having a toilet room separate. So I did that. A lot of the I shouldn't say a lot of the bathrooms, there's maybe 5 or 6 in this house. So like the ones that are near social areas, like the lounge, those are just half baths. So I put the toilet and the wash basin together. I didn't think it needed separate rooms for that. But for the upstairs, like for like the master suite, for like the family bathrooms and stuff, I decided it was just better to have the toilet room separate. 2 of the bedrooms have en suites. One of the bedrooms doesn't, but there's like a bathroom like kind of right outside of it. I always find when you get a Sims 3 base game house, it just like the number of bedrooms and bathrooms, there's never any rhyme or reason. Sometimes there's 5 bathrooms in 1 bedroom. Like you never really know what's going on. The curtains were really interesting to play around with here too. I don't have the whole thing curtained yet, but again, I found these Gothic Victorian ones and I was like, these are great. But all of the Sims 3 base game curtains I found were like usable and fit reasonably well to windows, and these windows, again, they came from Midnight Hollow, which was added later. So I I was impressed because that's a weakness of The Sims 4. The Sims 4, it doesn't really have any good curtains. Like the curtains look crappy, they bump into things, they don't sit right on the windows. Windows are all over the place. At least we can move windows more freely. That might be part of it, because since we have so much freedom with build mode, that not everything's gonna work perfectly all of the time. So, and when it comes to it, like when it comes down to it, The Sims 4's build mode is just far superior. This thing was exhausting. Even looking at it now, I'm like, I like it, but oh my God, do I want to do it again? Not this week, you know, maybe at a later date. But for now, I'm just gonna enjoy looking at the one that I already made. I really enjoy the colors, how they worked out. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, because like this is my style for sure. Like I complain about color a lot, but to me, like my version of ugly is different than other people's version of ugly. And so I don't mind strong color everywhere, but like they have to be pretty. And like I just think teal is a pretty color, and like cherry wood is like one of my favorite types of wood, and it's hard to match. So I can't use cherry wood in like a Sims 4 build usually, because all the swatches of the furniture and like the wallpapers and stuff, none of them come in that color, so it's never gonna work. Whereas with this, I can just match it with creative style. Might take me 45 minutes, but I can, and I can make it look exactly the way I like. And that's probably my favorite thing about building in The Sims 3. I've been complaining. I had a lot of fun. These are the kids' bedrooms. You can see I'm getting tired of it. I just made them symmetrical kind of thing. But like I said, especially when I was doing Sims 4 builds and putting them right on the gallery, I like them being functional for people. I like people being able to move in like kind of any Sims of like any sim that would suit that house, and then they can just customize little bits of it. Because that's how I used to play before I could really build, is I would get somebody else's house, or I would get it like, oh God forbid, an EA house, and then I would just kind of change the parts I needed to make it like functional for the Sims that I was playing with at the time. So I'm doing the bathrooms here. Bathrooms are my favorite thing to do. I just love doing bathrooms. And so all my mansions are gonna have enough bathrooms for your Sims to not pee themselves, I promise. I love always putting like half baths offside of activity areas. I love making sure every person who lives in the house, if they wanted to, could go to the bathroom or shower at the same time. There's actually no showers in this house. That's something I complained about in Lucky Palms, but Lucky Palms is like a post-war modern kind of like style, so why are there no showers in that, right? A Victorian house, like there weren't showers really in Victorian times. There was prototype things, but it was baths, right? And you would build the bucket from the river. So we're on the landscaping. I love landscaping. Even in The Sims 3, it's actually just as easy in, I think, every Sims game other than The Sims 1. But in The Sims 2, 3, and 4, it's, you know, plop down trees, paint the terrain. Like it's basically the same tool, and because it doesn't really need too much more advancing. Like you get into to terrain shapes and stuff too. That's like a whole other ball game. I'm sure there's a lot of differences when it comes to that stuff. But for this, it's just like plopping things down, moving them around until they look pretty, and it does that really well. I did hedges at the front. I was gonna do hedges all the way around, but I didn't think it was necessary. Behind them is like a forest. I just built this in like an empty world that I got from online somewhere. But we know that we're getting closer to the end of the build, and like I said, I'm gonna be taking us inside so we can tour every room and look at them nice and quickly and kind of get that out of the way, because I realize that for most of my speed builds, I like to show the speed part, and then I'm like, thanks for watching everybody, and then I just leave and nobody gets to see the house unless they actually download it. So how about I just catch you back inside in a few minutes. Okay, so here we are inside the game. I'm just gonna kind of pop in the front door, and I guess we'll get started on our grand tour. I would go around the outside, but I think that we saw a lot of that already from the video. I think I spent 2/3 of the time on the outside. So we'll just pop in and see what everything looks like from a first-person perspective. So this is like the grand entry hall. You have like the little seating area here with the curtains, and I just wanted to make it pretty and simple, and I don't want anyone being in here all the time, so I didn't put any activity stuff. Off of your right, you come into the lounge, and this is where people would be like socializing. Perhaps you might read a book or something. And I put a little desk with a phone on the side here, just so that way you could answer it, because there's not a lot of phones in this house. In here is just like a simple half bathroom. I just wanted to have some place that people could use the bathroom if they were a guest, so they wouldn't have to go into a room that actually had like personal areas. If you go in through this door, there's a few ways out of this way, but this is the dining room. the grand dining room. I wanted to put 8 chairs, but I didn't really make it big enough to do that, and I wanted to include a bar. So that was really what limited it to 6 seats. Not that this house has a bunch of bedrooms or anything. Ooh, these paintings are a little more purple than I would have chosen had I noticed. But you know what? That's just part of it, you know. Coming back here is into the hallway. You can go out the back door here. This is just like looking out into the forest. Like I said, behind this is not really an urban environment. Oh, there's another phone. Going inside here is the kitchen, and the dining room is kind of behind this wall here. So that'll be the rest of this floor. So in here is our kitchen. It's not as nice as the other rooms because it's supposed to be a little uglier. It's where like your servant would be, not necessarily where you would be, or like your guests for sure. So I kept the sink separate. I don't know if that's historically accurate. I just kind of guessed. See, this is the oven I was talking about. I don't love this Edwardian oven. I might have to play around with some of the swatches on creative style, but I was getting sick of it at this point. This is like servant stairs. So this goes like upstairs to the rest of the floors and up to the attic, right? So we have to go upstairs, but I would rather us use the main grand staircase. Oh, this is another half bath. It's kind of next to the kitchen. It's kind of if you would go to the bathroom during like a party in the dining room. This would be a much closer bathroom for you. Okay, so if we come out here, we can jolt our way upstairs and come right into the fainting room. So this is what I was supposed to talk about earlier. This is a fainting room. This is so the wife of the house can run up the steps and pass out because she's on drugs and she has a corset on and can't breathe. You know, it was 1890, so we had to think of ways that we could survive. This also looks out to one of the balconies where the servant stairs are. Now, coming back inside here, we have a master bedroom. So it's on the 2nd floor. I just have like a little entryway here, and we come in and it's like beautiful blue mess of a bedroom. I like it. I know it's not going to be everybody's taste. I should have toned down maybe the gold accents, but what are you going to do, right? I have another desk. This also goes out to the balcony too. So if we go through the master bedroom, it's quite large, and we have like a chest table. We have a whole dressing area with perfume, a mirror and stuff, and then of course the master bathroom. So this looks out like the 2nd floor at the front, and we have the wash basin here. And if we go back over this way, we just have like a simple toilet room. Like I said, I wanted to keep those things separate. That's even 8 tiles. I'm bringing the essence of EA back into this build. So if we leave the master bedroom, there's not too much else going on this floor. What did I put back here? Okay, I did put another half bathroom. I figured just in case people were in the fainting room or on the balcony, they could use that bathroom. Okay, so going up to the 3rd floor, whoa, we're going right into another half bathroom just because I need to have them everywhere. But these are just, whoop, I lost control of myself. In here is just like the simple kind of pinkish bedroom. It has its own ensuite bed and bath as well. Bed and bath. Toilet and bath, I should say. So this one's not as fancy. This is like a kid's room, right? So I figured it wouldn't be as nice. It does have an 8-tile toilet room though, right? And coming out of here, this is more of like a blue or teal room. It's kind of green. I don't know if I would like this. If I was reviewing this, I might be upset. But this room has a balcony, not an ensuite. So each bedroom kind of has its own little taste, right? And then of course, if you go up the servant steps all the way to, oh, this is another bathroom. I forgot, I love this bathroom. So I did put this is like a 2-story bathroom, so there's no floor here, so you can just kind of stare up to the ceiling or stare out the window. Actually, there's a lot of windows here, so there's probably a lot to look at. So if you go up this ladder, it goes up to the attic. So the ladder's on the porch. I don't really know why, but you could always move it, and this is just like, obviously I don't exactly know what I'm doing with this, but it worked out in the end, and like I said, it's nice to have extra space for your Sims. Well, that was my Victorian mansion in The Sims 3. Sorry it took so long. I didn't know which was the best way to show you. I really like The Sims 3 for like screenshots and lighting and stuff, but I didn't like it as much for the speed build, so I just wanted to show it off a little bit more. But let me know what you think. Do you prefer to see a speed build, or do you want like house tours, or a little bit of both? But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, give me a like or subscribe for some more Sims content. I'm building in The Sims 2 and 3. I'm judging EA's builds. I'm playing the games. I'm just having fun with like whatever I want to do in the game. And if there's something you think is fun, let me know in the comment section down below, and we'll see if we can make it happen.